everyone. Hello. It's so nice to see you all. Welcome to our first ever meeting at the Learning Jam. It's great, Orlando, to see everybody's faces, which is very different from what we usually do. My name is
Absolutely.
Nika, and like all of you here, I'm an educator. I've been working with schools and teachers for over 8 years, both in India and internationally. I'm really excited to have all of you here today with Orlando. We're going to have a wonderful meeting. It's going to be short, it's going to be fun, and Orlando, I'm really excited. All right, let's go on to the next slide. All right. So the Learning Jam is presented to you by Toddle. And if you don't know about Toddle, it is a collaboration platform for IBPYP and now IBMYP schools. And we know that as educators, we're all wearing so many different hats. So with Toddle, you can do all that you need to do as an educator from one intuitive, beautiful platform, be it curriculum planning, projects, assessments, family communication. You can do everything from just one place. And since Toddle was created by educators, we are committed to building community and lifelong learning. So we continue to do community building events like the Inquiry Educator Summit. We have an exclusive library called Toddle Learn, which has blogs and free resources and free webinars that have been created by experienced educators from all around the world. And we also have Toddle Community, which is your space to learn and collaborate. You can find lesson plans, unit plans on Toddle Community. And now we are here with yet another event called the Learning Jam. We know that 2020 was a crazy year. All of us really had to adapt to a lot of changes. And we hope that 2021 is a year of engagement and fun for you and your students, no matter where you are, whether in person or virtual. And our hope is that with the event and with sessions like Orlando is just going to lead us through, you get strategies and tools to do just that in your classrooms. All right, with that, Orlando, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. If you can go ahead and share your screen.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to quickly go ahead and talk about a few housekeeping notes in the meantime. So this is a Zoom meeting, so we'll all be able to see each other. Please keep your videos on if you want to, but please make sure that you are on mute at all times. We will take questions. Chat is our way to go, so please do engage in chat, reply to all panelists, all attendees. This is our hope is that we have a lot of good conversation happening throughout this session today. We will, please, you see Orlando's social media handles on the slide. Please feel free to tag him, tag Toddle, use the hashtag the Learning Jam. And make sure that you are tagging Toddle on Twitter and Instagram at Toddle_edu on Twitter and Toddle app on Instagram. Quick disclaimer, this event is organized by the community, is not endorsed by the IB or any other organization. And I want to, before handing it over to Orlando, I want to thank you and thank Orlando for taking the time out, doing this pro bono, coming here and sharing his learning and his strategies and tools with us. With that, Orlando, over to you. Please go ahead and take this forward.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. So guys, I'm going to be talking about making sustainable changes today. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to talk about things such as, for example, the ways that we think and how we keep attracting the same sort of things in our lives. This presentation is normally an hour to an hour and a half long, so I'm going to try to condense it down to 20 minutes. That's been a little bit difficult to do. And we're going to dive into some of the ways that the mind works and, you know, how we always try to, for example, create new things in our lives, but end up doing the same things that we were doing before. We end up back where we were before, whether it's losing weight or going on some sort of diet or whatever it is. So we're going to move it along here. Sure, for some reason I'm having problems with my screen with the drop downs. So if I could just get my moderators to maybe share their screens.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yes, one sec, guys. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, we got you. Some reason it wasn't dropping down there for me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history about myself and why I'm so fascinated with neuroscience and making sustainable changes. I come from a very Portuguese family. I moved to Canada at a young age, and after living there for almost 40 years, I decided to retire at a pretty young age. I was about 39 years old. I wanted to move to Thailand, which was completely different for me as a real estate investor, to move to a place like Thailand, stop working. Everyone was pretty well against what I wanted to do. And that was something that just motivated me even more. But what I found after a few years of living in Thailand is I was still sort of attracting the same things, same situations, same relationships. And I couldn't understand why. And I started diving into how the mind works. And so this is really something that resonates with me, and I'm going to share some things that I think can help you in your everyday lives. So let's just scroll down here a little bit. Give me one second. So I started looking at the subconscious mind and why we keep attracting the same sort of things in our lives. And what I discovered is that the subconscious mind doesn't want change. The conscious mind is the mind that'll say, yes, I want to do this, or I want to be able to do that. The subconscious mind doesn't want to change anything at all whatsoever. It's happy to order pizza on the weekend or whatever it is to be comfortable. The conscious mind wants to make changes. The subconscious doesn't want to do that. So it's basically the main operating system. And there's only three different ways to change our internal programs in the subconscious mind: through repetition, our environment, or self-hypnosis. And we have to understand that in the subconscious mind, we have many thoughts that happen day after day after day, 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we have every day. And 90% of those thoughts are from the day before. And when we understand that we're living in a reality of the past by the way that our thoughts work, and we also understand that a lot of us might be stressed out and under different stressful situations, such as physical stress, traumas, falls, breaks, chemical stresses, different things that we're exposed to, and most of all, emotional stress. And when we look at emotional stress, it could be anywhere across the board. You could be stressed out over Wi-Fi connection, single parenting, taxes. You know, the sky's the limit with emotional stress, and that's where normally we fall into. When we look at stress, we understand that people fall into the sympathetic or the parasympathetic nervous system. And in the sympathetic nervous system, it's fight or flight. Parasympathetic is just more relaxing, love, digestion. And we very easily stay in the sympathetic nervous system as human beings and stay there for a long time. And so we react for days, weeks, even years at times, whereas animals are completely different. An animal could be grazing and it sees a lion, and when the lion is ready to attack, say the zebra, for example, the zebra starts to run. It kicks into the sympathetic nervous system, and with that being said, it starts to run away from the lion. And when the lion gets tired, it comes right back to grazing, and it kicks back into the parasympathetic nervous system. Whereas humans stay somewhere for a very, very long time. We keep ourselves in these thought constructs that aren't very good for us whatsoever. And I'm going to move along to some of the deep rooted programs and habits that we have. There we go. One second. And so basically, everything that we think about as humans, whether you know it or not, falls into 8 basic categories. Every thought that we have, we know we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and they all fall under a certain category. And so the first one is brain and mind. The second one is health and fitness. The third one is environment, reset and recharge, family and relationship, contribution, business and career, and finance. And when we look at breaking all these down, then we understand how to break down what we do in our everyday lives. So whether we know it or not, we're doing something negative or positive with our mind. You know, either we're angry or we're jealous or we're sad or we need attention or we're really happy. You know, health and fitness. What is it that we're doing with our health and fitness? You know, are we taking the time to follow certain routines that we do every day? Are we prepping food so we're not, you know, stressed out at different times of the day? Our environments and the people that we surround ourselves with, the ability to reset and recharge. Now, a lot of people find themselves under pressure, overstressed, but yet don't take the time to reset and recharge. And when we look at resetting and recharging, typically you have a 6 month, every 6 months, you take a vacation. Once a year, you take a vacation. On the weekend, you decide to do something for yourself. And it's just not enough. There's daily state changers that we can implement that can help us change our state of mind on a daily basis. And the ability to reset and recharge is something that we can implement very easy. Family and relationship, the people that we attract into our lives, contribution, the way that we give or don't give, business and career, how are our relationships at work? Are we doing something that we're passionate about? And if we're not doing something that we're passionate about, are we able to make changes with that and be able to direct ourselves in a completely different direction? I'm not going to touch on finance too much here. So we'll move along to the next slide. Just bear with me for 1 second. So a few years ago, Dr. Emoto did an experiment, a water experiment, and it was very interesting when they did this experiment. Was they put water into a petri dish, and they got another petri dish, and they put water into it. And the one petri dish, they basically did a light meditation. They said, "I love you, I love you, I love you," and they froze the petri dish. And the other one, they said, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you," and they froze the petri dish. And what they discovered is when they pulled them out of the freezer and they looked at them under a microscope, that the "I love you" petri dish was perfect geometrical patterns, and the "I hate you" one was like looking at cancer under a microscope. It was all blotchy and distorted. And so we understand that the way that we think affects our body completely, with disease, with all kinds of things. And then we understand that the placebo effect, if anyone's heard of the placebo effect, that basically you can make yourself sick or you can make yourself well. They'll give a burnt victim an IV, and the burnt victim will be in pain and be calling for the nurse and want morphine and cannot tell the difference between saline solution and the morphine. And so the nurse injects saline solution into the catheter, and the burnt victim completely calms down because they believe that they're getting the actual medicine, but they're not. Your brain is able to produce a pharmacy of chemicals right away in order to make you heal. And if you can make yourself heal through placebo, they've done a lot of studies, then you can also make yourself sick, which is what a lot of us do. And if we look at more of a quantum model of reality, which is basically not wanting something from the outside all the time to make us happy. For example, you know, people are looking for example, a relationship to feel love. They're looking for the right job to feel empowered, or success, you know, to feel whole. And when you look at these sort of things in the ways that we think, then you start to understand and put together the mind in a completely different way. Let's move it along, guys. You have enough energy basically in your body. It's really powerful to light up a whole New York City block. And how can you make some of these changes? You know, how can you use the power in your body to make some changes within yourself? We'll move to the next slide here. and we'll talk about some daily state changers. And now this is stuff that is really, really good. Meditation, breath work. A lot of us don't take the time to do breath work. I incorporated breath work into my practice years ago, and it's really, really amazing. I really enjoy it. It's a way to change my state of mind right away, no matter what situation I'm in. I really enjoy breath work. Morning routines. A lot of us don't have morning routines because we say, well, I don't have the time for a morning routine, but we all have 10 minutes to wake up earlier in the morning and to incorporate something. And if you set your morning routine, then you set your stage for the rest of your day. Mindfulness practices. You can be doing mindfulness practices throughout the day. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be on your way to work. You could be in a train. You can be on an airplane. Very easy way to change your state of mind. Movement practices. There's so many different ways to be able to move around. Laughing, smiling, hugging. Next time you're upset and you can't seem to get out of it, whether it's a work situation, a family situation, or whatever it is, try to throw on your favorite comedian. That'll right away snap you out of it. Sunlight exposure is a great one of my favorites in the morning. It's a way to get yourself going. It's great to get sunlight exposure, just closing your eyes, looking at the sun, but it should be early in the morning or early evening because it's too bright and too hot during the day. It's a great way to biohack. Contrast therapy. Now, I grew up in Canada. I don't have the ability to have really, really cold showers, but if I did live in Canada, I would try to have a really cold shower in the morning, a really cold shower in the evening. What I do in Thailand is we have ice baths. So we'll go into the sauna, we'll go into the ice bath, sauna, ice bath. And that's a great state changer. It's really good for the immune system and helps with a lot of things. Fasting, for example, intermittent fasting, I incorporated into my life a couple years ago, and something that is really, really good and helped me out a lot. In the beginning, I didn't like it at all because the subconscious mind doesn't want change. You have to change that program. But after a month, I got used to it. I was only planning on doing it for a little while, and almost 3 years later, I'm still doing intermittent fasting. It's great. Maybe not for everybody, but you can do weekly fasts, different things you can do, juicing, souping. Another one is to be able to eat good food. We eat so much garbage. We don't take supplements. Our food is really, really bad. And it's hard to get out of programs of eating unhealthy foods. It's really, really, it's a difficult program to change. Understanding your sleep patterns. A lot of people, you ask them, they don't sleep good. They don't sleep throughout the night, but they're not preparing before they go to sleep. And they're not doing certain things in order to make that transition easier, falling asleep and being able to sleep throughout the whole night. So understanding circadian rhythms is really, really important. Trying to get off your phone, try not to answer your phone right in the morning when you wake up. Just give yourself a little bit of time. And finally, the thing that I can say about devices is try to use your device in a good way. A lot of us are just wasting time on our devices over and over and over on different platforms, wasting time. And there's so much information that we have access to and that is available to all of us. Let's move on to the next slide. Guys, this is different for me because I'm going through really quickly. And normally this takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to do this sort of speech. I have a lot more information on my website. You can reach me there. You can reach me on Facebook or at the Wellness Dose. So I just want to open up to any sort of questions for anybody right now and see where we're at. But thank you so much for joining today, and I hope that was helpful.
Definitely, Orlando. We've been getting a lot of love on just, yeah, on the chat, and there are people who are getting so much out of strategies you're using. We're also getting a few questions. So I think we can take a few, just keeping time in mind. Um, could you give us some examples of effective like movement or exercises people can do when they only have about 10 to 15 to 20 minutes? Because,
Sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. So a few years ago, I went to India and I developed my own yoga practice. I studied spine therapy for a while. And so a lot of us sit all the time and we sit all day and don't stretch at all whatsoever. A great stretch to do if you're sitting, especially for the upper spine, is just to interlock your fingers, come right behind the head, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, tucking the chin. And as you bring your elbows tighter, you'll find that you'll feel that pull through the upper back. And the idea behind holding these stretches is to really take time with them and breathe in through the nose softly and out through the nose very softly, but taking your time as the breath comes in and taking your time to release the breath. You want to hold these for a minimum of 30 seconds, up to a minute. You'll find if you do just that simple stretch 3 times a day at a desk, it's fantastic. Just holding takes off so much pressure. Another one, if we're sitting up, that's very easy. We're sitting in chairs. Twisting is great for the spine. We're sitting for long periods of time. It's so easy to be able to turn back, grab your chair. Very important to look back over the shoulder, not keep the chin too high, not keep the chin too low. Pull the shoulder back so it opens up the chest. And the only thing that you have to do when you're here, once again, is go right back to your diaphragmatic breathing. Take a deep breath in slowly and release the breath slowly through the nose. If you can release through the mouth slowly, that's good too. But typically, if we release the breath through the mouth, we let it out all at once. So it's important to try to let the breath out slowly. As you get into a comfortable rhythm with your breath, holding stretches for a minute to 2 minutes, you do this for a week, holding a few stretches every single day, whether it's in bed in the morning before you get out of bed or at work if you're sitting at a desk. And after a week, you'll be like, wow, I feel fantastic. And I used to pick something up off the floor every single time. 10 years ago was weird because I was in my late 30s. I'm almost 50 now. And I used to pick up something off the floor and go down and be like, oh, and get up really. Doesn't happen anymore. I never thought it was possible. I've been able to reverse things with my body that I never thought was possible. I was never able to bend my knee back and my foot completely to where my heel would touch my glute. Never happened. Had a knee surgery. The doctor said it's not possible. Here's the MRIs. It cannot happen. Well, my mind believed that. My subconscious mind believed that for a very long time. And I was just like, this is not possible. I started going to yoga. I wasn't trying to get my knee back, but slowly my knee just started to come back. And I was like, wow, amazing. And so just through doing some simple stretching, I don't do my yoga practice myself every day unless I'm teaching it. So right now, because of COVID, I'm just teaching a few times a week. But I do take the time to stretch, and I would really highly recommend or advise you to, if you can make the time in your day to throw in a couple stretches, some meditation practices, some breathing practices, very, very helpful.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Yes, lots actually. So
All right, all right.
Chad has a question which I think a lot of us will also benefit from. So he asks, what advice do you have for connection and creation of oxytocin in this time of pandemic and virtual connections, not being able to meet a lot of our friends and family in person? So if you have any strategies, any stretches, any exercises, I think we can all.
Yeah, great question. That's really good. So, um, for the release of chemicals in the brain that make you feel good, whether it's dopamine, DMT, whatever, any state changers that you do, like for example, like a sun bath I was talking about in the morning, you'd be surprised if you sit in front of the sun for just a couple of minutes, open your palms, close your eyes, and look up slightly and breathe deeply in through the nose, out through the nose for a couple minutes makes all the difference in the world. If you have a cold, hot shower, like contrast therapy, and you're turning the shower on to cold and off to hot, cold, hot, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, just a minute, that's a great state changer. It just shocks the body right away. There's different breath work that you can do also that's really amazing, like 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. And it goes something like this. So just doing simple techniques for periods of 1 minute. That's it. All you need is a minute. And you change your state of mind completely. And your cells go from negative to positive right away. Cells can never cross in the body, by the way. We have 50 trillion cells. They never do this. Some go into negative, some go into positive. You're either in the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic. And whenever you implement a state changer into your life, right away you change your state of mind, but you change the physiology of your body. And you look at the cells under a microscope and it's completely different. So what was the name of the person that asked the question? I'm sorry.
Chad. He's here on
Chad.
the screen.
So Chad, look up some state changers because it's really, really good. And different people like different state changers. Some people don't like breath work. Some people don't like meditation. They'd rather go out for a walk. The idea is to do things in a mindful way. A lot of times we're not mindful. We're driving our car down the road for 5 minutes and we're like, wow, I don't remember what happened for the last 5 minutes. Because we're not being mindful. The subconscious mind takes over right away and can drive the car, no problem. But we have to look at times in our day where we can be mindful. And that shuts down the brain. Because remember, we have 50 to 60 to 70,000 thoughts on a daily basis. And the brain never stops thinking. Even when you go to sleep, you're thinking, you're thinking all the time. And that's why it's really good to incorporate morning routines, because a morning routine is very simple. And to make just 10 minutes, even if it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, a light stretch, 3 minutes of breathing where you're focused, even if you're just counting your breath, 1, 2, 3. As soon as you do that, you shut out the 60 to 70,000 thoughts. And then to listen to something educational or put on a video or read a book or a journal or whatever, that's a state changer that will set the stage for the rest of your day, day after day after day. And after you do it for a while, if you miss one day, you'll be like, wow, what a difference. So that's another state changer that I would really, really highly recommend for you guys. Is there any other questions that we have?
We do, but I think just to make sure that we end on time, because we do have two very exciting webinars at next after
Sure.
this call. Orlando, there is a lot of love coming through. Even just looking at everybody on switch on their videos and do the stretches and exercises with you, it was just amazing to see how much of how much people got out of just small tips. I had people saying in the chat that, you know, these are things that we all know of but we forget, and this was just such a great reminder. So thank you so much for doing this for us. This
Thank
has
you
been
as well.
so valuable and beneficial to me, and I'm sure I talk on behalf of everybody who's here. Thank you everybody for joining us. It was great to see all the faces and have all of you join us for the meeting. We have Sarah's session starting in about a minute, which is on STEAM and storytelling. We also have a webinar by Lawrence on systems thinking through the compass. It's going to be amazing. So please take your pick and go attend those. And thank you, everybody. Thank you once again, Orlando.
Thank you guys so much for joining today. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you, everyone.